in the context of our current discussion, what are the sources of law for the Ukrainian Catholic Church? And certainly that historical legislation, as received by the Christian East, was the normative, those ecumenical councils, the sacred canons that I mentioned, that were common to all the Byzantine churches. These are really three types of canons: the canons of the ecumenical councils, the canons of the regional synods determined to have ecumenical weight, also by the ecumenical councils, for example, certain synods from Africa and other places, and the canonical writings of certain church fathers that were determined to have ecumenical weight, also by the ecumenical councils. These different sets of canons were taken up in various collections that were organized by commentators. For example, the Nomocanon in 14 titles by John Scholasticus, and a Slavonic translation created by Saint Methodius the canonist. Maybe people don't know Cyril Methodius. Methodius was a canonist. Cyril was a philosopher. These texts were collected into these various collections, and given the expense of books prior to the development of printing, often we would put different short texts together in a single volume that made it worth binding together. And among these collections were a series of collections called the Kormchaya Kneha, that contained ecclesial legislation, epistles, and sermons, Byzantine secular law even, that was taken up into the context of Rus, and native laws that emerged in the parts of the world that now are Ukraine and Russia, such as the princely statutes, what's called the Russian law, the Pravda Ruskaya, or maybe the Rusin law. And because of the nature, this was before printing presses, we have different redactions of these texts, some of which are regional, some of which are, there's different textual traditions, right? Some just have come through different sources. So one of them, the Ephraim redaction, which we don't have the original of it, was, we know, composed outside of Rus, probably for southern Slavs in the 10th century. This version we know was in use in Kyiv and other parts, and the oldest extant copy that we have is from the 12th century. Father Zuzek, who wrote in the 1980s on this topic, found 5 manuscript families of this textual tradition. We won't get into the real details, but just to say that there's a lot of variety existing. And how does that variety manifest? Well, what canons are contained there? Which civil legislative texts are contained there? Different context is in there.